Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we talk about the Fedora Hat. We discuss what it is not, the history, what to look for when you buy one, and how to wear it so you look your best. 100 years ago, no man of style would go outside on the street without a hat. However, there were stiff hats that were more formal and fedora hats which were softer. Even though today a fedora is a rather formal accessory, back in the day the fedora was less formal and was more a lower class or middle class man hat. Unfortunately, a lot of people refer to any kind of hat as a fedora, which isn't quite accurate, so let's discuss what makes a fedora. Basically, a fedora hat is a snap brim hat. It's called that way because you can actually snap the brim down. A fedora is typically pinched in the middle and then again in the front. One of the big hallmarks, and probably the reason it's so popular, is that the fedora is shapeable in many different forms because it's a soft felt hat. That means you can snap the brim, you can have it up or down, you can pinch it in any way you like, and just wear it so you as a wearer like the outcome. The exact shape is not defined, but you can see on this hand here it's more curved versus on this one it's more flat. Also, the height of the crown varies to taste. The most classic type of fedora, especially in the US, is probably a teardrop crown, which you can see here, it's slightly angled. Most of the time you find them even taller, and if you have a tall head, it may make sense. Otherwise, kind of a middle of the road kind of crown helps you to never go out of style. Next up is the brim of the fedora. First of all, you can have different sizes. You can have very short brims, medium brims, and wide brims. Again, if you want to stay timeless, something around in the middle length is probably your best bet, even though personally I like larger brims as well. Of course, it all comes down to what your face shape is, and so larger brims work better for some persons and shorter for others. So stay tuned on our guide on what head shape to wear with what crown and what brim based on the shape of your face. The size of the brim is subject to fashion, and therefore I would avoid the extremes. You can also have different edges, such as a raw cut edge, as you can see here, or a kind of sewn edge, as you can see here, where it's simply folded up and sewn down, or you can see a ribbon edge, which has an additional ribbon that makes your hat more resistant to wear. Or you can have a covenant edge, which doesn't exist anymore because the demand is not there anymore and the machines are not made anymore. But basically, it's a felted edge that is neither cut but felted in place, which is the highest quality level. Usually you only find that in vintage quality hats. The brim of the fedora can be snapped down in the front, or snapped down all the way around, or snapped up in the front and down in the back. I think the most popular way to wear it is having it snapped down in the front and up in the back. Personally, it's my favorite style, and that's what I wear most of the time. When it comes to the pinch of the fedora, it's really up to your personal choice. Some people like clean lights right in the middle and a little pinch in the front, but ultimately it's up to you. In terms of material, most fedoras these days are made from wool felt, which is basically hair from sheep that is felted, which is not woven, but the hair is taken together, rubbed together until they intertwine and they don't come apart anymore. Wool felt is just the entry to hats. It's a decent quality and it's felted, it's a natural material, but it's usually a little rougher. The next step up would be a rabbit or hair felt, which is finer and softer, and it usually makes for a great hat. The very best qualities are beaver felt hats, and they usually use hair from the belly of the beaver, and over time the quality has deteriorated, even though you can still find felt makers that offer beaver fur felt, and it's the best thing you can buy these days, and it's the best thing you used to be able to buy. So if you find a beaver felt hat, it's definitely a quality item. Of course, there are differences within that range, but these days there are not that many differences as there used to be in the 20s and 30s. In terms of hat decoration, most hats will feature a band on the outside, and there can be a bow, there can be folds, you can have different kind of ribbons. Sometimes you have little things that dangle on them, such as on this hat. Other times you can have a really wide band or a slim band, maybe a leather band. And sometimes you can even see people adding a little feather to their hat just to highlight the individual character. You can also find a fedora if you have a Panama hat, and to learn more about Panama hats, please check out our in-depth guide here. So how did the fedora get its name? In the 1890s, there was a play titled Fedora, and at the time, all men wore hats on the street. The everyday man didn't have much money and could only afford one hat that had to serve multiple purposes. The fedora was great because it could be shaped in any form needed. At that time, no gentleman would have ever worn a fedora hat. The hallmark hat, which I'm wearing here right now, was the hat of choice. As you can see, it has that center crease, but it has a brim that's curved up with a little band, and it's definitely stiffer than a fedora hat. On the other hand, a gentleman would maybe only wear a fedora hat in the countryside for very casual outings. Just like many other things in menswear, the Prince of Wales wore a fedora in 1924, and it became hugely popular that way because he liked softer things. He went from a stiff evening shirt to a soft evening shirt in black tie. And to learn more about that, check out our black tie guy here. He also had a soft drape cut that he enjoyed, and we have a drape guide on our website as well. Same thing with the Fedora hat. He wanted something that was softer and more casual and not as stiff as the old top hats and hallmark hats. If you want to learn more about the hallmark hat, check out our in-depth hallmark guide on the website. If you want to learn more about the history of the fedora, you can also check our in-depth guide on the website here. So how should you wear a fedora hat in this day and age? Basically, you want to wear it with a classically inspired outfit, which means a jacket or a suit. If you want, you could wear it with a chalk stripe or a pinstripe suit that's rather bold. Just be careful, if you wear it with a pinstripe suit or a bold chalk stripe suit, you may look like Al Capone or any other mobster. As the fedora is a classic piece of headwear that's not worn a lot anymore, I suggest you go with like double-breasted suits, peak lapels, maybe single-breasted suits with a vest, like a three-piece suit, or with a contrasting vest. You can also have accessories such as cufflinks or rings, maybe a tie bar or a collar bar, because it just underlines the entire classic look of the fedora. Wear the fedora in the right season. A felt hat is great in the winter when it's cold outside, maybe in the fall and also in spring, but not during the summer. Go for a Panama hat instead. It's very important to understand hat etiquette. Basically, you take off your hat in a private space, as well as in church or in any other place of worship. However, if you go to a train station, you can leave your hat on, or maybe a big department store. Otherwise, the golden rule is whenever you're inside, take the hat off. Also, if you wear a fedora hat, try to avoid sunglasses because it simply looks odd and over the top. A long brim will help keep the sun out of your face, and I would always go with either sunglasses or a fedora. Some fedoras have a little feature that enables you to wear it even when it's really windy outside, because you can connect it to your neck or to your clothing so it doesn't just blow away. So where and how should you buy a fedora hat? So first choice obviously is to go to a local hat store. In my experience, those hats are rarely of really high quality because people are not willing to spend $500, $600 or even $1,000 for an off-the-rack hat. Because of that, they go with lower quality wool felt, and the bands are not as nice, but they're affordable. Another option is to go with vintage hats. You can either find them in vintage stores, thrift stores, maybe at estate sales, or on eBay. In recent years, eBay has become really popular, so prices have gone up, but usually you still get a bigger bang for your buck. Now, some people don't like to wear vintage hats because they've been used before, and if you're afraid of that, simply have the inside headband replaced as well as the ribbon on the outside, and you have an entirely new hat. So definitely avoid fashion brands and avoid sized hats that come in small, medium, and large. Since a fedora hat is soft, you have a single measurement. It's either centimeters. I, for example, usually get between a 59 and 60 centimeters. The American hat size would be about 7.5 to 7 3/8. So you just figure out what you want, and you can check out a list and a table of hat sizes on our website. So as you can see, traditionally you have hats in many different sizes, and you want something that fits you perfectly rather than just small, medium, large. Definitely always choose a felt over synthetic materials such as nylon and polyester, beaver being the best, then rabbit and hare, then wool felt. In terms of color, I suggest you avoid extreme colors that are very bold because they're very hard to combine with your outfits. So stay clear of all black, all white, bright blue, or yellow or green because it's just too much. Instead, go with a more subdued tone. Here I'm wearing a brown hat, which is great for casual outfits. You can also invest in a gray hat because they go well with all kinds of suits. If it has a blue undertone, you can wear it with navy, you can wear it with gray or dark charcoal, it all works. When I say brown, there are all kinds of shades of brown. You can also have lighter colors, lighter shades of brown, cognac, caramel, and on top of that, you can have different kinds of gray. Bluish gray, lighter gray, darker gray. These are personally my favorite colors. I also go with a navy. It's a classic hat shape that you can wear a lot. For a traditional look, you choose a headband that's very similar to the color, but slightly different with a different shine. Makes for a very classic look. If you want to be a bit bolder, you can change the headband and change the entire look of your hat. So rather than going with colorful felts, I suggest going with colorful ribbons. It's easily replaced, and if you don't like it, you can change it, but you'll always know you have a hat that you can wear with many things. That being said, if you want something truly unique and special, you can always get a custom hat. In recent years, custom hatters have become much more popular. They get decent felts and you can get exactly what you want in the shape that you want, and that may be well worth the higher price ticket. So how do you take care of Fedora? Because it is animal hair, whether it's wool, rabbit or beaver, it's very resistant to water, and so I would just say you dry it naturally if it got wet. Otherwise, a brush is your best friend. You want natural bristles that are pulled in by hand so your brush lasts for a long time. Then all you do is you just brush out the dust on a regular basis. That way your hat will last longer. It will always look sharp and dapper. Some people say you have to do it counterclockwise or clockwise. I believe it doesn't matter at all. You just look at your hat and make sure the dust gets out and stays clear of it. And once you've done your brim, and you can go from the inside to the outside so you can really see the dust coming up, you can start going on your crown, go through the crease. You may also want to take the crease out to really get every little dust bit out of it. You just do it until you like the look of it and your hat is good. This will ensure that your hat stays in shape and that it lasts longer than if you let it just soil up. If you wear your hat a lot in the summer and you sweat a lot, it pays to maybe disinfect the sweatband or have it replaced every once in a while. That way you prevent having zits on your forehead. Because hats are felted from a natural animal hair, they're susceptible to moths. Therefore, if you buy a vintage hat, I suggest to first put it in the freezer for a while, take it out into room temperature, and do that whole procedure 2 or 3 times to make sure you kill all the moths. If you see moth bites on hats that weren't there before, you do that same procedure and you make sure that you protect the rest of your wardrobe. Otherwise, you end up with lots of holes, and that's just not what you want for your investment. So today I'm wearing a vintage hat, which is from the 1970s from Miser, which is a German hat company. It's rabbit felt. I had a vintage ribbon added because I like the look of it and I wanted a wider one. And that's something you often encounter. Oftentimes they're very slim, so if you want something wider, you have to custom make that. My shirt is a white dress shirt, classic color spread with cufflinks, and it's from Siniscalchi in Milan, Italy. My jacket is a vintage sport coat from Bobby from Boston, which is a vintage store. And Bobby unfortunately died, I think, last year, but I went there and got this for $30. It's just a no-name Harris tweed, but I like it. It's a nice color. Herringbone is a classic pattern. I'm pairing it with a Shantung silk tie from Fort Belvedere, which you can find in our shop. It's striped and it has some knobs on it, which gives it a casual character. My cufflinks are also secondhand. I found them vintage. It's like carved malachite with sterling silver. So is my ring to match. Then my shoes are brown from a small shop in Florence. I have a matching belt color-wise, which is made out of alligator skin, American alligator skin. I keep the buckle in silver so it all matches. My slacks are from Polo Ralph Lauren. They have a small kind of charcoal and off-white houndstooth pattern. And my socks are the burgundy and off-white striped Fort Belvedere socks over the calf that add a little bit of pop of color to the outfit that's otherwise very consistent in brown, oatmeal, and dark colors. The other pop of color is my pocket square, which is silk from Fort Belvedere. It's printed English silk, so the blue picks up the blue elements of my ring and my cufflinks. the orange contrasts well with the green and the brown and the tie and the jacket. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and especially subscribe to our newsletter so videos like this come right to your inbox. Thank you.